Picture this. You're walking down the street, minding your own business, when someone cuts you off. Suddenly, a wave of rage hits you way bigger than the moment deserves. You snap, yell something you regret, and later think, where did that come from? Sound familiar? Today, we're diving into something wild, something hidden deep inside all of us, the shadow. Carl Jung, one of the greatest minds in psychology, warned us about it, this dark, unknown side of our personality that we'd rather pretend doesn't exist. But here's the kicker. Ignoring it doesn't make it disappear. It makes it stronger. Why should you care? Because facing your shadow isn't just about self-discovery, it's about saving yourself, your relationships, and maybe even the world from the chaos we're all capable of creating. Buckle up, because this journey is going to get real. Let's start with a question. Why do you sometimes act in ways that don't even feel like you? Maybe it's that jealousy that creeps up when a friend succeeds, or the anxiety that grips you before a big moment when you know you've got this. What's driving that? Jung says it's your shadow, the parts of yourself you've shoved into the basement of your mind because they're messy, ugly, or just don't fit the person you want to be. But here's the thing. Those locked away pieces don't stay quiet. They bang on the door, leaking out in ways you don't expect, like that outburst in traffic or the snarky comment you didn't mean to say. Think about it. When was the last time you felt something dark bubble up, anger, shame, fear, and you couldn't quite pin down why? That's your shadow waving hello. It's not just a personal quirk either. Jung believed if we don't deal with our own shadows, we get sucked into something bigger. The collective shadow, the dark underbelly of humanity itself. Ever wonder why history keeps repeating itself with wars, injustice, and denial? That's the collective shadow at work, and we're all part of it. So, what's the fix? Jung called it shadow work, along tough negotiation with that hidden side of you. It's not about fighting it or pretending it's not there. It's about sitting down with it, asking, what are you trying to tell me? Because here's the wild part. Your shadow isn't all bad. Buried in there are good quality strength, creativity, passion that got tangled up with the stuff you're ashamed of. Facing it can unlock a version of you that's more real, more alive. I want to hear from you. What's a moment when you felt your shadow sneak out? Drop it in the comments. I'm reading every single one. If this is hitting home for you, do me a favor. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. We're peeling back layers here, and your support keeps this kind of deep dive coming. Let's get more people on this journey together. We can face the shadows and come out stronger. Okay, let's dig deeper. The shadow isn't some abstract idea, it's alive in your everyday life. Imagine this. You're at work, and a coworker takes credit for your idea. Your blood boils, but instead of speaking up, you stew in silence, then snap at your partner later over something tiny. That's your shadow. It's the fear of confrontation, the resentment you didn't admit, bubbling up and spilling over. Or maybe you're the opposite, you lash out right then and there, only to feel guilty after. Either way, it's not random. Jung said the shadow is everything we've repressed, emotions, traits, desires we've labeled bad or weak. But science backs this up too. A study from the University of Texas found that suppressing emotions doesn't erase them, it amplifies stress, anxiety, even physical tension. Your body keeps the score. Let me tell you a story. A few years back, I had this friend, let's call her Mia. She was the sweetest person, always smiling, until one day, she just lost it at a family dinner. Yelling, tears, the works. Later, she told me she didn't even know why she'd just been swallowing her frustration for months, thinking it made her strong. That's the shadow's trick. It grows in the dark. For me, it used to be impatience. I'd get so mad at slow drivers, like it was personal. Took me ages to realize it wasn't about them. It was about my own control issues, buried deep. So, how do we handle this? Shadow work isn't quick or easy, but it's doable. Step 1. Acknowledge it. Next time you feel that surge of rage or shame, don't push it down, pause and name it. Say to yourself, okay, this is my shadow showing up. Step 2. Get curious. Journaling's a game changer here. Write down what triggered you and ask, why does this hit me so hard? What's underneath? Maybe it's an old wound, a fear of failure, or a need to be seen. Step 3. Negotiate. Don't try to kill your shadow, you can't. Instead, integrate it. If you're hiding anger, find a healthy way to express it, like boxing or a tough talk with someone you trust. Here's a study to chew on. Research from Harvard shows self-reflection like journaling cuts stress by 25% over time. Why? Because naming your emotions takes their power away. Another tool? Meditation. Sit quietly for 5 minutes, breathe, and just watch your thoughts. Don't judge them, let them float by. It's like meeting your shadow face to face without a fight. Let's try something right now. Think of a time you overreacted recently. Close your eyes if you want. What were you feeling? Was it really about that moment? Or something deeper? Jot it down later and see what comes up. Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to know what you find. Now, here's where it gets heavy. What happens if you don't face your shadow? It doesn't just sit there, it festers. It turns into chronic stress, broken relationships, even sickness. A study from the American Psychological Association links repressed emotions to higher rates of heart disease. Your shadow can literally hurt you, but it's bigger than that. Jung warned that if we ignore our personal shadows, we fuel the collective shadow, the dark side of humanity. Think about it. Every time we deny our own flaws, we're more likely to point fingers, judge others, or stay silent when we should act. That's how atrocities happen. That's how history repeats wars, oppression, climate denial, all because we won't look in the mirror. Let me paint a picture. Imagine a guy named Tom. Tom's a good dude, works hard, loves his family, but he's got this quiet bitterness he won't admit about his job, his past, whatever. He buries it, tells himself it's fine. Over years, it twists into cynicism. He stops trusting people, starts blaming the system. And one day, he's scrolling online, nodding along to some toxic rant about us versus them. That's the collective shadow swallowing him whole. Jung said it best. If you don't make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you'll call it fate. But flip the coin, what if you do the work? You rescue the gold in your shadow. That anger you've buried? It's actually passion waiting to be channeled. That shame? It's tied to empathy you didn't know you had. I've seen it myself. Once I faced my impatience, I started using it to push forward projects I cared about, not just fume in traffic. Studies back this too. The University of California found people who practice self-reflection are 30% more satisfied with life. You get stronger, clearer, happier, and you stop projecting your junk onto others. On a bigger scale, facing your shadow means facing the collective mess. It's telling the truth about the past doers and the world, instead of sweeping atrocities under the rug. Dismissing them only makes the shadow blacker until it explodes. Truth is messy, but it's the only way. So ask yourself, what are you avoiding? What truth are you dodging? Because if we don't deal with it, we're all complicit when the cycle spins again. If this is sparking something in you, please hit that like button, subscribe, and share this video. We're tackling the big stuff here, and every view, every comment helps spread the word. Let's build a community that's not afraid to face the shadows together. So, let's wrap this up. Today, we've unpacked Carl Jung's warning about the shadow, that hidden, messy part of us we can't ignore. We've seen how it sneaks into our lives, how it ties into the collective darkness of humanity, and how shadow work acknowledging it, negotiating with it can change everything. It's not just about avoiding the bad stuff. It's about finding the good that's locked away. Improving your life, and stepping up to face the world's denial and inertia. Here's a small tip to start. Tonight, take 5 minutes. Grab a pen. Write down one feeling you usually push away: anger, fear, whatever. Don't fix it, just look at it. Say, "Hey, I see you." That's where it begins. You'll be amazed what shifts. If you're hungry for more, check out our next video on practical shadow work exercises, links below. We've also got a free guide with prompts to kickstart your journey. Grab it in the description. And hey, if you've got questions or want to connect, join our community forum. It's a safe space to dig deeper. Thanks for sticking with me through this. The shadow's a beast, but it's one worth wrestling with. Be kind to yourself on this ride. It's not easy, but it's everything. See you in the next one.